it's me, Vicky Marie. And I've just realised I've forgotten to paint my nails. So I'm just painting my nails pink. Just realised when the video was... no, don't start. Anyway, so thank you for joining me. This is second live I've done today. And as I said earlier, I'm going to try and catch up on some cases that since we've all been, it's all been going on with the Jay Slater case, who's still not been found in Tenerife. I thought I want to catch up on some of the cases that I've been covering before, and they've sort of, there's the Chihuahua. They've sort of got left a bit by the wayside, and one of them, of course, is Sebastian Rogers. It did all get a bit crazy as well, wasn't it? The circus that it was becoming, that put me off that case as well. Because it's one of them, you just can't differentiate what's true, what's not true, who's attacking who. Is it his mom? Did his mom have something to do with his disappearance, and his stepdad, or did Seth have anything to do with it, his father, or did the family have anything to do with it, or is this just a case of a teenager running away and coming to some harm, somehow accidentally even? Or is there foul play, or someone picked him up and took him off? Again, a very mysterious case. So thank you for your likes, your subscribes. Thank you for being members. Just like the banner says underneath, thanks to everyone who's sent me a Ko-fi, or sent me a super sticker, or PayPal me, or sent me an email, left me a nice comment. Thank you so much. And of course, don't forget to leave your DNA or your fingerprint on the like button, please. And if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing. So it's 12 o'clock here in Spain, or just after 12, midday. It's, warming up. It's probably about 30 degrees by now. But there's still a few more degrees to go, apparently. I'm going to just say hello to whoever's already in the chat first. Hey, Chumba. Hey, Kelly. Hi, SM. Now then. No, 12 o'clock, Chumba. 12 o'clock. Yeah. Anyway, let's have a look at who we're talking about here. Because we haven't looked at this case for, it's been a couple of weeks probably. And of course, this is the young lad, 15-year-old Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. Apparently, what happened, one minute he was there at his home in Tennessee, and his mum's, they went out. It was a Sunday, wasn't it? They went out for the day, had a great time. Everything was good, apparently. And then that evening, his mum heard a thud. She was on the phone to her partner, Katie Proudfoot, who was working away for a couple of hours. She heard a thud from his room. She said, "Oh, what you doing?" Or "I don't care what you're doing, but go to bed," or whatever. He replied, "Yes, ma'am." And then in the morning, when she got up to get him up from school, this is what she says. He was gone, disappeared. No idea where he had gone. And that really is more or less all we still know to this day. So the police were called out immediately, or more or less immediately. We've listened to the police searching for him in those first few hours. They seem to say that they did see footprints. They seem to have some scent of him to some sort of a pond that's not far away from the house. But that pond was drained, and Sebastian was not in there. Since then, there was a fake sighting of him up in Carolina. That was proven to not be Sebastian. The police investigated that. It was not him. And there's been, twists and turns. Oh, I could go like that and you can see me. Twists and turns in this case, but no twists and turns in the sense of any new evidence really or anything, or not that we know of, let's say. A lot of acrimony between Sebastian's biological parents. Seth Rogers is his father. He was sort of more or less insinuating that it was Katie, his mum, who'd had something to do with his disappearance, and her new partner, Chris Proudfoot. I'm just seeing if I've got a picture of them anywhere. Yeah. So Seth really was insisting, he's thrown a lot of stones at this couple, but nobody's been arrested. No one's, as far as we know, no one's been investigated. The TBI, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, they're being very tight-lipped about it, like police forces always are. And that's where we are. So there's no proof that Katie and Chris had something to do with it. No, it's one of it's one of those where it's just, there's no proof of anything. So it's a real mystery. Another reason why I sort of left this case behind a little bit is because, of course, Seth took on this new private investigator. The father, Seth, took on the new private investigator. I've got a picture of him somewhere I can show you. Tony Mathis, so this is Seth Rogers, Sebastian's dad. That's Tony Mathis, his private investigator who helped out apparently in the case of Caleb Harris. But of course, Caleb probably has been found now, but I don't know if Tony spoke out on it at all. But he moved away from the Caleb Harris case and he's become like Seth's best buddy. He tried to get him to wear a collared shirt. That's not happening anymore. All the other private investigators on the case just backed off. The YouTubers backed off because at 1 minute Seth was on YouTube, it felt like every 30 seconds, and I don't think that was a good idea because he was sometimes worse for wear for medication or alcohol. We don't know what, he's obviously at the end of his tether. It wasn't a good idea for him to use YouTube as almost like a counselor or something. So that all culminated with Seth eventually apparently taking out cease and desist injunctions against various YouTubers. And a lot of YouTubers are not reporting on this case anymore because of that. I've never had a cease and desist, but some of the other YouTube channels were perhaps a lot more disrespectful, and of course American ones. I don't know. The thing is, it's difficult, isn't it? If your child's missing, you want publicity, but of course you don't want people being nasty to you. And Seth was getting a lot of hate. Started off, Seth was like, everyone felt sorry for Seth, and he was like, couldn't do any wrong. And it was everybody hated Chris and Katie. And then in the end, it sort of revolved around things came out about Seth's behaviour. He's not a saint. No one's a saint. I expect if my son went missing or something, if people wanted to dig up things about me, they're going to find things, aren't they? Because none of us are saints. We've all done things that we probably wish we hadn't done. We've all said things we wish we hadn't said. There's various things that if you're looking for some dirt on someone, it's not the most difficult thing to find, I don't think, for most normal people. And then you put a spin on it, you put a twist on it. You can twist around most things, I think, twist around and make most people look bad if you try really hard enough, especially in these days of social media. So all this was in February when Sebastian went missing. We're now on the 8th of June and he's still missing. No updates, as I say, really. Let me just show you the thumbnail. So this is the thumbnail for this video. Seth, now, apparently Seth has been in and had surgery because he had a problem with his shoulder, didn't he? He was having you know, he was taking medication for that, which may have been where he seemed sort of like he was falling asleep on a lot of his videos. Oh, and by the way, they've all passed lie detector tests. Chris, Katie, so Chris the stepdad, Katie the mum, Seth, apparently have all passed lie detector tests. So, you know, that's interesting. Now, I didn't really know he was going in for surgery. I noticed it had all gone a lot quieter. He looks better in his face. So this is off the video that he's put out that we're going to have a look at. Looks a lot better in his face. Maybe, you know, the pain he was in, apart from the fact obviously his son was missing. And of course he got quite, you know, got quite aggressive, but, you know, is that just the pressure he was under? Or, it, you know, having said that, turns out that from his, you know, divorce papers and that, he probably has got a bit of an aggressive side. But again, you know, haven't we all, when you go through a divorce, an acrimonious divorce, you know, you're not going to be all sunshine and light, are you? So, you know, he's a human being, I suppose, like everybody else. But the thing is, he was quick to, for me, it was because he was quick to cast aspersions on Katie and Chris, you know, so then he got it back a little bit. And, you know, at the end of the day, all these three people, Sebastian, the biological father, Chris, the stepfather, and Katie, the biological mother, they've all got a missing son. And of course, it seems like most of the information that's come out, we can think that Sebastian's home life was not probably ideal, but whose is. And not only with Katie and Chris, but really with Seth. And it seems like Sebastian was not happy about going to live with his dad, because he was supposed to be going to live with Seth. Initially it was, oh yeah, he was really pleased he was coming to live with me. It's come out sort of bit by bit that maybe he wasn't so pleased, because it would have meant he had to be homeschooled. He didn't want to be homeschooled. He liked going to school and mixing with his friends, you know. So there's, I mean, if you don't know much about this case, if you're new to you know, this case, I've got my, you know, there's a playlist on my channel of all the videos that I've done since probably since February or the end of February about this case, if you want to catch up on them, because we just haven't got enough time in this video to catch up on everything. But there, yeah, so that's where we are. That's where we are with this case. Hi, Janabelle. Oh, thank you for that, Janabelle. Very kind. Thank you. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Shelley. Hi, SM. I did say hello to SM. Okay, so yeah, this is where we are. So what I'm going to show you is, so Seth has set up his own YouTube channel now. I think it's a much better idea than going on all these different YouTube channels, you know, and in different, sometimes worse for wear for either the sedatives or alcohol or whatever, you know, and saying things and getting carried away. He needed somebody to look after him. And, you know, at first, like, trouble is, Tony Mathis, when he first came in, he started doing a lot of crazy things as well. So let's hope it's all calming down now. So, of course, he started calling Tony TikTok Tony, because he was on TikTok lives, and I call him Tony the Phony, because some of the things he said have been total speculation. You know, we don't want speculation, especially not from the PR guy, from the family. You know, the social media is going wild about this, but you don't, you know, we need a reasoned voice. We need a reasoned voice just dealing with the facts. And of course, there is a void from Tennessee investigation because it's an active case. There is a void of information, but you know, we shouldn't expect the PR guy to fill it with wrongful information. So he set up this this YouTube channel. I think it's a good idea, and he did a live the other night, so we're going to have a look at it. Now, again, like we were saying about Jay Slater earlier this morning, or anybody whose child is missing, however old they are, really, it's, you know, it must be awful. Just must be awful. I just cannot imagine how it is. And when like the good news that you're waiting for might be a body being found, you know, it's like terrifying, really, isn't it? Sorry, Seth's YouTube. He does look better, doesn't he? Looks better in his face. Don't know. Maybe it's because it's daytime. You know, I think too often we've seen him talking. He's probably been too tired, too exhausted. He's not come over well, I don't think, in most of his interviews. You know, I've said, those of you who've been with me for a while, you remember right from the beginning when he was on everything. I was saying, you need to keep off these things because it's not doing, you know, it's not good. Anyway, so this is his channel. I don't know what he's going to be, you know, I'm going to look at it under the fair use. I hope that he understands that. I don't know if he's going to blast me for copyright, but I'm not using, you know, it's not copyright, it's fair use. And he's put out a public video, and I presume he wants people to talk about it in a respectful way. So Seth, you've got Seth, you've got Tony up here, and Bullhorn Better, because she's a YouTuber as well, but Seth seems to quite like her. They seem to be friends. You know, I don't like all these YouTube wars between channels, so I'm not going to comment on channels that I like or don't like, or because you just get embroiled in YouTube wars. I don't do that. I'm not interested in that. Just interested in what Seth's got to say. And it is a really nice video because he does show some nice pictures of Sebastian. I think this was a really good idea to do. And you know, also what I like about it's not cash apps all over it. So when you're watching these other YouTubers and that, and they've got bloody cans shaking in front of you, or cash app here, there and everywhere, and you know, all the way through the video. I mean, listen, I know YouTubers at the end of the day, they deserve to earn a living like anybody else, but you know, it's enough to do, you know, present it at the beginning, maybe at the end to remind people to like and subscribe, etc. But you know, to watch a video, I thought it was so distasteful watching some of those videos, even by some of the, you know, supposedly reputable YouTubes, with just cash apps all over them and begging for money, and not only for Seth but for themselves, all the way through the video. I just think that's awful. You know, people know how YouTube works. If people want to contribute, you can let them know at the beginning. Most people who watch YouTube, they know anyway. They can send a super sticker or buy a Ko-fi, or they can join your channel. Don't you think most people know that anyway? I don't think you have to remind them all the way through a video, do you? You know, it's a bit crass. So what I quite like about this is it. This is just Seth talking. Tony's asking, you'll see it be Tony asking him questions about Sebastian, Seth being his usual self. I mean, I bet it's quite difficult to work with Seth because, well, you'll see as we go along. These other private investigators said that, you know, that's his personality. That's the way he is. A couple of times in this, he actually acknowledges it himself. Now, I have sped up because he talks quite slowly, and it's about an hour long, this video. So I've sped up the speaking a bit. If you can't understand it, let me know and I'll slow it back down again a bit. Okay, let's see how it goes.
Good?
I'm good. I'm just listening to Mission Impossible too.
So hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well this evening. We'd like to welcome you guys to the inaugural live of Seth Rogers on his own channel. Seth is the father of 15-year-old Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, the young man who went missing from Hendersonville, Tennessee on February 26th. So Seth, good evening, first off, sir. And tell us about your channel. Tell us what the purpose is and how this came to be.
Yeah, and it's quite funny because he's got his bandage on from his surgery, so he looks a bit like a vicar, doesn't he? When I first saw it, I thought, oh my God, has he got ordained? But no, he's had surgery on his shoulder apparently, but he's going to tell us about it.
Well, I decided I was going to set up this channel because watching a lot of other people's channels about my son, people have a tendency of have gravy in the mouth, and they're not paying attention to what's coming out of their mouth. It needs to be about my son. Everybody wants to throw their 2 cents in when it's not even worth a penny.
Yeah, and he's right. I agree with him. It's his son. It's good for him to have his own channel and to talk about things as they really are from his side of things. Obviously, you know, we've got Katie and Chris, they've got their side of things as well. And I think for anyone who's being logical about this case or any other case, what we always want to do, isn't it, is watch as much as we can as possible of all the different things that people are saying, and then make our own mind up, then decide what we believe, what our hypothesis is. And we're entitled to do that. You know, whether it's our son or not, we are entitled to have a theory, as long as we're not nasty to other people about it.
And just false narratives out there, false information. I figured what better than to take that away from them and put it back in control of Sebastian's family.
Well, and nobody knows the young man better than his father, correct?
Well, he knows himself better than I do, but I'm going to try to be a second close.
Perfect. So
he does make me laugh, Seth, because he always, like he said, oh, nobody knows him more than his father, right? And he goes, well, he knows himself, right? He always comes back with a challenge, Seth. But of course, his mum will know Sebastian quite well as well. So, you know, I think actually probably, you know, and this is just my opinion, maybe it's because I'm a mum. I think his mum probably knows Sebastian better than anyone. And also, she was the main parent, and Seth didn't see Sebastian that often. So I'm not saying he doesn't know Sebastian, but he's not the person that has had to deal with Sebastian, because of course Sebastian is high functioning autism. From what we can gather about what we know about Sebastian, he probably wasn't the easiest child sometimes to deal with, you know, which is not being horrible about him. It's just that's, you know, sometimes the way it is, not even with autistic children, just with teenagers. If you've ever had a teenager, you know, so sometimes our children are difficult to love, to be honest, at times, especially when they're going through those stages where they absolutely hate us. And, you know, but we do love them anyway. We love them whatever we do, because when you have a child, it is unconditional love.
well, let me ask you this, Big Dog. I mean, the questions that we're getting rolling in by the dozens have to do with your surgery, your recovery. Talk to us a little bit about your surgery. How did that go? How you feeling? What was the experience like? That kind of thing.
Well, this hand is definitely working again. No pain. I'm great. It was like instantaneous when I was done with the surgery. I had no more pain going down into my right arm.
So that's good news. So apparently he was having problems with that hand, and that is already working again.
So I'm happy about that. I haven't had to take anything except for ibuprofen and a little bit of Aleve since the surgery. So I'm good on that end. I'm tired of having to regulate medicines like my doctor was wanting me to. I'd rather not take them. I'd rather have my multivitamin, my fish oil, my B12, you know, my normal stuff that I take every day. And
so tell us about that experience of waking up on the table.
Tell me if it's too fast, because I can slow it down a little bit. I've just sped it up because Seth does speak very slowly. So, but if it's too fast, let me know.
We talked about that a little
my
bit.
throat still hurts. I woke up and I had tubes and stuff shoved down my throat. I was trying to rip them out. I actually got bruises where, you know, they had 3 people on one side of me trying to hold me down when I came out. It was not pleasant. But as soon as they got stuff pulled out of, you know, the tubes and stuff ripped out of my throat, as soon as I was able to start breathing on my own again, I was able to calm down. I was aggravated, that's for sure. But you know, after that, it was just getting me back to the recovery room.
I mean, the thing is, Seth, you know, he's a big guy, you know, no offense, but he's a big guy, a very big guy. He smokes, so that will have been a worry when he was in surgery, etc., for the anaesthetic, etc. So imagine when he came up out of the anaesthetic, and if he started fighting it, which some people do, he won't have been easy to control, that's for sure. No wonder he's got bruises. They probably had to sit on him, bless him.
You know, then making sure my dressing was good, making sure that I could get up and walk around, stuff like that. Within 30 minutes, I was sitting there chomping at the bed trying to get out of the hospital. And they were like, no, you got to stay here for 3 hours.
I'm sure you were quite the minding patient, right?
I was an angel, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think we know from what we've seen, he does look so much better, to be honest, and he just sounds better. I don't know where it is, but I think from what we know of Seth, He's probably not an easy patient. He's stubborn, isn't he? He's stubborn. I'd be exactly the same, to be honest. You know, and they would probably have their challenges in keeping him under control. And look, these two are both laughing because they have to do that as well. You know, Seth is Seth. That's why most of his PIs have left, or there's been arguments, or, you know, and he's fell out with some of the YouTubers that were once his friends. That is Seth. You know, he is himself.
So tell your audience here, your supporters, what types of things were you not able to do when you were dealing with this shoulder pain? I mean, I have an idea. I know what's at the top of the list, but you know, in addition to the obvious, searching for your son, I mean, what are the other things that you miss doing that you're going to be able to get back to doing now that you're out of pain?
Besides back to looking for my son, because I was under doctor's orders, I wasn't allowed to drive. A lot of people don't realize that I was not allowed to drive. So every time I drove somewhere, I had to have somebody come pick me up. And it was.
See, this is another thing about him coming on here and do that. I'm sure. See, I haven't been following this case for a little while because of, you know, the Jay Slater case and other things, and also I'd got sort of up to here with all the rumours and everything. But this is what's so good, because people will have been saying, oh, why hasn't Seth been out searching for Sebastian, or why hasn't he done this, or why hasn't he done that? You know, because, you know, where it's like people out there, they think they have the right to tell people what to do. And now he's explaining, I didn't even know he'd had surgery. I mean, I've never thought, oh, why aren't he out there searching, or why aren't he doing this? That's just not the sort of person I am. But if I was that, you know, he's coming out now and he's just saying what's happened. And I think, you know, it's good. It's good.
It's not one of the, I don't like having to wait on people to do stuff. I've always been a person that just relies on myself. So relying on other people is extremely hard for me. Can't wait till I can actually ride my motorcycle again. I mean, it's one thing to be in pain, and at the beginning it was okay, but like a 10-minute ride on my bike, every bump, anything that just jarred it, because I had nothing left in between my C5 and my C6 in my neck except for the nerve. So every time I hit a bump, all it was doing was separating and squishing down on that last nerve.
And that's why you didn't ride your motorcycle at the vigil, correct?
Yep.
So there you go. That's another thing that we didn't know. So that's why he didn't ride his motorcycle at they had that big motorcycle vigil. I think that's the last vigil they've held, isn't it? I don't think there's been one since then, as far as I know. And probably now this explains it, because if Seth's been out of action. Katie and Chris don't go to the vigils, but to be fair, that's because people are threatening to kill them. So I don't blame them, really.
I mean, that's an hour and 15 minutes, depending on traffic, just to get down there, plus then the ride back while we waited and everything, or else I would have been on my bike.
Yeah. Anything else you missed doing? You went to the shooting range a lot, right?
I used to before all this happened. And yeah, no, shooting was not a task or activity that I could enjoy. So I'll be hitting the range again, making sure I'm still up to par.
Very nice. Very nice.
You know, fishing. I couldn't go fishing. I couldn't do a lot of things. Like, I mean, even simple maintenance, like washing my truck was not something that I could do. Cleaning my house was a pain in my hindquarters. There was just a lot of things I couldn't do.
Yeah. So Seth, I mean, obviously the big reason people are coming to your channel, other than to support you looking for your son, is, you know, these folks are hoping to see a little more about Sebastian. They want to learn about who Sebastian is. They want to see things from you, the father, that they can't see on any other channel. So I understand that you've got some pics and video that you're going to share.
So, yeah, so now he's going to show some pictures and videos of Sebastian that, you know, are only obviously they're personal, and he's going to share them on his channel. I really do think this is, don't know why I didn't do this before. Maybe this has been Tony's influence, and if so, it is a positive thing, I think. Do your own channel, say what you want to say about your son, and update. And he does give a few updates later, because apparently the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation have been in touch with him, because, you know, before he was saying that the police weren't informing him of anything that was going on, but that was probably because he was out there on YouTube channels all over the place telling everybody what was going on. So I think that's probably a reason why the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation weren't, you know, communicating with him. Anyway, it seems like they have been communicating with him now a bit, and we'll find that out later. But he's going to show some very nice footage of Sebastian
with the audience, and you're going to explain to them what these pictures mean to you and what the story behind the pictures is. Is that correct?
I've got some pictures that I'm willing to share currently. A lot of people don't. This is all I have left of my son until I can find him and bring him home. But I cherish all these pictures.
That's very sad, isn't it? It's all I've got left of my son until I can find him.
That I've taken. It was definitely a different life than most of these pictures, because these were pictures when he was younger. I've got some newborn pictures in here. I've got pictures of him still in the hospital, like less than 24 hours old. Like I try to take pictures of him all the time when he was younger. I try to take pictures. A lot of people don't know that the picture of him on the shirts, I took that picture the weekend that I had him last. And that was the last picture that I got to take of my son. And I got to take that when we went out to eat.
Well, brother, I can tell you, you've got a massive army in here with you, supporting you tonight. We feel you. We're with you. We're shedding tears with you. We got your back. Let's light up the chat with those green hearts, and let's get to looking at these pictures so we can get everybody refocused on what all this is about, which is finding your son.
It's about knowing Sebastian somewhat more than y'all do. I've seen some of the videos, like the Christmas videos that I showed. I haven't even let all of those. Phones back then didn't record like they do now. So, but
wow,
these are some of the pictures I have of him. And him in his crib with a little baby.
Take your time through these, Seth. Take your time, buddy.
Yeah, he's probably going to get quite emotional, isn't he? But he looks a lot like Seth, doesn't he? I mean, you couldn't deny him, because you can see Seth in him. He's very much like Seth, I think.
She and Katie picked out this whole bedroom set for him. It was great. I mean, he was a bundle of joy. He wasn't even a year old at these times.
So what are we seeing up here at the top? Is that a tippy cup? Is that what that is?
Yep, that was his car sippy cup.
Okay.
You know, didn't have him on a bottle for long. When he was born, like first few months of his life was like literally a blur. Child literally hit the ground crawling because he didn't walk. But I mean, he was awake on average for 18 hours a day. I mean,
18 hours a day he was awake. Oh my goodness. That's a lot, isn't it?
When he slept, it was amazing when he slept. 4 hours every once in a while here and there. Child just didn't stop. And when he did stop, it was because he was asleep. He liked animals even then.
So for everybody that hasn't been quite as connected to the case, I mean, let's talk about that. His love for animals. I mean, his animal of choice was what?
Oh, his favorite? Cats.
Okay. Any specific type, color, just cats in general?
Cats. Just cats, all cats. I really wanted to, I want to get him a Savannah. It's a pretty big cat, but it can also be a house cat. Me, I'm a fan of dogs. I don't mind cats. It just means an extra pill I have to take every day, depending on their day.
So it sounds like Seth is a little bit allergic to cats, because he said he's not that keen on cats because it means he has to take an extra pill every day. He prefers dogs, but Sebastian's favourite was cats. I mean, I think we can safely say Sebastian did love animals. There's been a lot of photos of him with animals.
Standard supply. But he really likes cats. I haven't found an animal that he really doesn't like. I mean, he got bit in the face by a dog and had to have 7 stitches in his face. And
yeah, no, I didn't know about that. So apparently he got bit in his face by a dog and he had to have 7 stitches. I mean, what happened there? What dog was it? Whose dog was it? What were the circumstances? I'd want to know how he ended up getting bit in the face by a dog and needing 7 stitches. And that's a miracle. It didn't make him terrified of dogs, isn't it, really?
he still wasn't scared of dogs. Wasn't scared of them one bit. Wasn't even scared of the dog that bit him. He had no fear of animals. I just understood. But his whole room was a lion, like jungle theme. So he had giraffes, turtles. He had a huge lion, gold with mane. He slept with that thing.
Oh, look at that picture. Look at that picture. Bless him. He's still got the same smile, Sebastian. His smile hasn't changed. And again, he looks so much like Seth, doesn't he? He does look like Seth. And of course, he had blonde hair there. A lot of kids, my son was the same. He had blonde hair when he was that age. I've still got the hair upstairs. So you know, his first curls that he had cut off that were blonde. He's not blonde now, he's dark. But my son actually has got one little blonde tuft still at the front of his, I call it his Malin streak. He's got one blonde bit there and he's still got that. But when he was little, when he was about 2, similar to Sebastian there, he was as blonde as anything, but he's dark now, black hair, really.
It's a little fuzzy, but he was always moving. You know, you can see the giraffe in the background.
Look at that smile.
Oh, he was up to no good. Definitely way before Harry Potter, and he was so up to no good. But
yeah, he looks naughty, doesn't he? He looks
long blonde hair.
He does look cheeky and naughty, I'll say that. You could just tell by his face that I can imagine he was up to no good.
Definitely a different time. We lived in South Georgia at this point in time. This is about the time that Uncle Taco's daughter would be watching Sebastian. Yeah, he had moved into Coleraine Oaks. He was already learning how to swim and everything else here.
I mean, it looks like the world was his at that point. You guys were just living in it. The toys all over the place. Just looked like he was living life, and everybody was getting him and buying him and providing him with everything he wanted.
Yeah, everything was his.
Absolutely.
Everything was his. I mean, I was his dad. Katie was his mom. Everywhere, everything was his. He definitely had a good childhood. At least a very young, good childhood. Me and him used to sit there and we would dance around this whole place, because right back here, that right there is like a divider wall between the kitchen,
okay,
living room, and then on the other side was our dining room, our eat-in area, which was also extended part. But there was that divider wall, and you could walk around that whole thing. We would literally, we'd sit there and play music and just dance around the whole house. I mean, the kid loved to dance.
So how old is he in this picture? How old was he when he started walking? You know, just to give the audience kind of a reference point.
He's 2 in this picture.
Okay.
He started walking.
So he's 2 in that picture, you know, the terrible 2s. That is a difficult time, isn't it? They're just like, he has got that cheeky face. They are just into everything. You have to watch him every minute. And, they, you know, what did he say? He was awake 18 hours a day or something like that. I mean, for goodness sake, I've got to say my son, he always slept well. He, you know, at least I would get that switch off where he would sleep. He would go to sleep about 9 and he wouldn't wake up, you know, until properly the next morning. So I did get a break. But imagine if you didn't get a break. God, well, there was 2 of them, so I suppose they could take it in turns. But, you know, it never works like that, does it?
Getting at about 1.5 years.
Okay.
He was crawling at I want to say 4 months. He was crawling, less than 4 months. He knew he had done something. I can't remember what he had done, but he walked up and I just had to take a picture.
Boy, he looks ornery in the picture. I'm not going to lie.
He still is ornery. I mean, he gets that from me. I mean, what can I say?
There's not a surprise member in the audience after that time.
Probably not. I mean, I gave him all his best qualities in life. Being stubborn, pig-headed, ornery, focused. Not, you know, I like to hope to think that his curiosity is something I've given him in life too.
Well, at least Seth admits that he's stubborn and ornery and all these things. And he's making the joke that he's giving him all these best qualities. You know, there you go. At least he admits it. I think he is a stubborn person, Seth, and I think that's what's caused a lot of problems. But maybe doing this and maybe this change of tack, hopefully it'll make things better.
He definitely likes to learn. But it's got to be his way. He's got to learn his way.
Look.
I was outside, still in Coleraine Oaks. It's just that you see that smile. I mean, how can you tell that face no? I mean, anything that he wanted, he got it.
You know, you can't read too much into a picture, but a picture is worth 1,000 words, and he truly looks loved in that picture.
Here's something about that picture. If you look at his chin, you see the drool.
Right, he goes on to talk about drool for about 10 minutes now, so I'm going to fast forward that because I can't be doing with that. But doesn't he look cute? Bless him. Let's just move on a little bit from the drool.
Again, if he wasn't sleeping, he was moving. Look at his chunky little legs.
Again, it kind of looks like the world was his. You know, you guys were just living in it.
Now, I've got to say, any picture I've seen of Sebastian, right, you know, he looks like he didn't want for anything. I'm not saying that means love. I know love is a separate thing. Love and time are separate from things. But he always looks, you know, happy on his pictures. He always looks like he's got, you know, the best of things. I think Seth was a house husband for a lot of time, wasn't he? And then Katie was working in the Navy. You know, don't think there's anything to say he wanted for anything, to be honest. You know, that he was, but there was some issues, weren't there, well, there were issues with Seth and then issues with Chris Proudfoot. So, of course, again, we don't know all the details of that yet. That might come out in the wash later on. But the thing with the belt with Chris Proudfoot, and then there was the thing with the swimming with Seth, when Sebastian said Seth had hit him. Who knows? You know, we don't know. But I've got to say, any picture that I have ever seen of Sebastian, he does look happy enough.
The world is still his. We just got to find him.
Absolutely.
Just got to find him so that we can. I mean, if you look down here at the bottom of this picture right here, though, that's a portion of the lion.
Okay.
Because it was everywhere that he went. He really was a Cars fan. And if you look, his T-shirt is a Buzz Lightyear.
So when he was younger, he was a big Cars fan because he had the Cars tippy cup.
Yes, Seth, I know it's easy for me to say, but I am an ex-smoker, but you really should give up smoking because his voice quite often, you know, anyway, I'm not trying to lecture him. I'm just thinking about his health. Smoking's not doing him good, is it?
Up the Cars bed. I mean, that was a big thing for him, correct?
Yeah, he was a Disney kid, that's for sure.
Okay.
You know,
did he like any other Disney movies?
what do you say? Name one. I mean, he did Cars, he did Buzz Lightyear, Monsters Inc.
So a lot of the more animated Disney movies, correct?
Yeah, as he got older, I'm a Star Wars fan, and he of course became a Star Wars fan as well. His mama, she's a Harry Potter fan, and you know, I'm a Space Wizard fan. And then at one point in time, she decided to ask him, you know, which is better, Harry Potter or Star Wars, and he had a hard time making a decision. So I told him, do you want a magical wand or do you want a lightsaber? And being the typical boy that he is, he was like, I will take the lightsaber. So, you know.
No.
Blackmail pictures.
Do you know, it's funny, isn't it, when I'm looking at these pictures, and of course they're right over the other side of the world in another country from where I was when I had my son. But we've all got similar pictures. I've got a picture of my son like that in his high chair, covered in spaghetti bolognese. You know, I just gave him his, that's still his favourite food now, spaghetti bolognese. I just gave him a bowl of spaghetti bolognese. He ate it with his hands. He was covered in it. The high chair was covered in it. So it just shows you, you know, as human beings, I think we do all the same things, don't we? You know, even if you are in different countries and stuff, there's got to be, you know, this is what we do, you know, and of course there's an age difference between Sebastian and my son, about 13 years, but probably all of us who've got kids, we'll have a picture like that of our child sat in a high chair covered in food. You know, it just seems to be something you do.
Sure. Obviously, these pictures are not in chronological order. Leave my retro 80s table and chairs out of it. Boy, they'd like this stuff. If I remember correctly, I believe I want to say that was oatmeal. And he did not appreciate me taking a picture of him, as you can tell.
Yeah, he looks thrilled.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, look, it looks
Reminds me of when I was married.
hungry.
That's the look I would get when I was in
Fast
trouble.
forward to the next.
Dad wrapped around his finger, didn't he?
Yes, he does. He still does. I mean, yes, he did then. He does now. I mean, it's my mini me. He's everything that makes me who I am.
Yeah. Look
There
at this. This is the absolute spit of Seth, isn't it? Look at what chubby little one he was. And of course, as always, you know, quite often these chubby babies, they end up being slimmest adults, you know, because, I mean, God, he's a real chubster there. But in his last photos, well, I say his last photos, hopefully they won't be his last photos forever. But, you know, because when they get to teenagers, and they start growing, don't they? So what I found that what they do is, so if you look at like one of his last pictures, you can see he's more gangly, isn't he? Because teenagers, they start to grow every time they put on a bit of puppy fat or whatever, and then they grow another couple of inches and they go slimmer again. And then, you know, they change, obviously, because that's a very rapid growth time when they're teenagers. So when you look at how chubby he was as a kid to sort of how he is at 15, you know, but he's a real little chubster, isn't he? Bless him.
Oh, he was in his bouncy at the house in his little onesie. He was a big boy.
Yeah, he was a little chunk there, wasn't he?
Yeah, if you look at him now, you'd never known how chunky he was as a kid, as an infant.
Absolutely.
Boys, like, I mean, there's a Mexican restaurant we go to here in Clarksville. They serve literally chicken burritos that are like this big. They're the whole size of the platter. And he'll eat a whole one. He'll eat all of it. And then he'll eat the chips. And then he'll be like, can we have dessert? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, I don't know where he puts it all.
Yeah, you can't fill up teenagers. I don't think, well, so it's not changing my son even now. You can't fill them up, you know. It's like, and I love food, believe me, but just, you know, but having said that, my son's a lot taller than me as well, and he does a lot more exercise than I do because he goes to the gym every day. But it is quite breathtaking how much young people can eat. You notice it as you get older. And I mean, I'm sure I was exactly the same. Probably drove my parents crazy. You know, they were always having to get food in. But, you know, they're just like bottomless pits when they get sort of into that teenagey time.
I know where I put it, you know, but I don't know where he puts it all.
We're going to give him credit that he looks chunky because he's got horizontal stripes on, right?
No. This was his first birthday.
I have to be honest with you. I think he might like a little bit of cake. I'm not sure. I don't know for a fact yet, but I'd have to think that he thinks the cake looks good.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's watching everybody else while he's eating the cake.
I see that.
And there was no cake for nobody else. All him.
And just so the audience knows, Seth, when you and I talk about Sebastian, we don't talk about him in past tense ever, do we?
Nope. He's still
We're talking about past tense because these are old pictures, just so everybody knows. It's no disrespect to Sebastian or Seth. We're talking about then as was because these are
now.
Well, I think he's often referred to in the past tense, but as he says, I think it's because he talked about him when he was a baby. But also, it's difficult not to. I mean, Seth's parents talked about him in the past tense. I mean, this boy hasn't been seen since February. You know, that's 5 months, nearly 6 months. It's difficult to think he's still on this planet, isn't it? Again, even as much as you know, your best case scenario is he's being hidden somewhere.
compared to now, correct?
I mean, he was 1 year old. This was 14 years ago, people.
Absolutely.
It was his birthday. And yeah, he was definitely into cake. I still think he's into cake. But, you know, we got to find him so we can get him his next birthday cake. His last one, I believe, was an ice cream cake that I got him. I'm not really a fan of ice cream cake, but his birthday being in December, you know.
So his birthday's in December. I hope they know something by then.
He's 15. He, you know, take him out to dinner. Take him to the arcade. Let him go play go-karts.
So here's a baby.
Yes, I was there when he came out,
of him.
and I took him home.
I'm just going to fast forward a little bit.
How do you feel when you're looking at these pictures, Seth? Do you feel happy? Do you feel sad? Do you feel a bundle of emotions? Is it all the above?
There he is with his birthday cake again.
I think he was wearing more of it than he had actually eaten it. I'm just saying.
And he doesn't look in trouble either. He looks like that you guys were fine with it.
I was told that I wasn't allowed to smash his face in the cake. I was trying to give him all the cake.
Yeah, that's a bit, I didn't really like that when you said that. I was told that I wasn't allowed to smash his face in the cake. Now, that's a bit unfortunate use of language there, I think, because, he's a bit, would he really have done that? Put that little boy's face in the cake? I didn't like that when you said that. Seth, sometimes you do say stupid things.
I don't think he needs to. I think he looks like he got
He did a pretty good job.
I think he did a really good job there.
Yeah, he didn't need any help at all. I think he's got a couple spots right here around the nose. I mean, that are missing. I think the reason his mouth was open is that there was cake and icing stuck in his nose. I mean, he was just trying to breathe. Bring him home.
So this was on the way home from the hospital.
Yep. Yes, it was. Nothing fit him because he was actually really small. He didn't get, feeding him the formula got him chunky, but he had to fill out. I got another picture around here somewhere.
Oh.
A little fat.
I do think it's been a good idea of him to show these pictures as well, because if he wants to keep Sebastian's name, in the limelight, keep people talking about it, because of everything that's happened before, everyone stopped talking about it. Well, he was sending people cease and desist letters anyway. So this is the way to get Sebastian's name back out. So people look and they see he's not just a name, he's a real child. And, I think this has been a very good idea.
As you can tell by the shirt, he drools a lot when he was younger. I mean, literally, the kid drooled a lot.
I got to tell you, a lot of babies do. I asked my mom because she said the same thing, except my hair did not lay as flat as your son's. It stuck up that she was so embarrassed she put a bun.
So Seth, of course, we all appreciate, Sebastian's Army appreciates you sharing those incredibly personal pictures
I'm not
with
sure
us.
what that is.
I'm going over to Sumner County on Monday so I can have a conversation with him.
The shoulder to lean on, the boots on the ground, the helping with the YouTube channel, the support in the community, the support out in the social media streets. I can't thank you enough for giving him an additional sister through this time. So without further ado, you take the floor and talk to us about it.
So then Bullhorn Betty, Seth's obviously gone off to do something. Bullhorn Betty, she's recently gone to Hendersonville, and she's received some very nasty YouTube attention from other YouTubers and from other people in that. Now, I don't take sides with all, I'm only on Sebastian's side. I don't know about the YouTubers and the arguments that they've had and all that drama. I'm not interested in. But no, Seth seems to get on well with Bullhorn Betty, and she's been there putting up. Anyway, let's hear what she's got to say
About your trip to Hendersonville.
Yeah, so I thought Hendersonville was enlightening. I did find out some information for myself. We were able to post, I posted just about half. He handed me a stack of flyers, but I posted I think it was about 200 of those. I think he gave me like close to 300. And so I have about 50 of those left with some bands. I'm going to be mailing those bands out. I haven't had a chance to with the new girl, but I thought it was pretty successful, with a few hiccups,
Sure.
So,
What did you think about the community of Hendersonville? Was it your first time there?
It was my first time there. I I was a little disappointed in the lack of signage. I have to be lack of anything to even represent Sebastian, even ribbons and bows and just something. And I was a little disappointed that I didn't see more of an. I've been into smaller communities that had larger support, larger array of signage throughout a county. I didn't see that here. There was nothing like that here. So I think that was a little discouraging, but we posted the flyers. I hear the flyers certain flyers have come down. So I'm hoping that.
Now, that's strange, isn't it? That she said she didn't see much signage and stuff like that, so very odd. But yeah, and I agree, Shelley, she will help. Anyone giving respectful attention to this case will help. And I think it's just good, really good, that they've set up, where his own YouTube channel where he can have control of it, instead of going on other YouTubers. And some of the other YouTube channels that he's gone on, they've ended up stabbing him in the back. Others would say he stabbed them in the back, but it's all drama. So it's better that he just does his own. He doesn't get the drama then, does he?
People continue to put them up because what I learned going into these communities is just because, we may know it on social media, the people, maybe one or two houses may know about it. But what you find out is people down the road, people that don't watch the news or are really busy, they don't know about this. You have people literally living in a community right next to you that has never heard Sebastian Rogers' name. I guarantee it, because this is something I see in every single community. That's why it's so important to have the signage, to have things out there so people can see it and pay attention to it. And I feel like that was what was missing. So we did what we could do to correct the issue.
Right. And so after you did a little digging, when you and I spoke, you kind of acknowledged that you knew that there was signage there at one time. You knew there was, yard signs, there was telephone pole signs, there was all these things, and then they weren't there. And then you go flood the community with more signage, and then you're hearing now that here we go again. It's been taken down. I mean, just your thoughts. I mean, why is that?
I don't know who would take signs, missing person signs down for a 15-year-old boy, for any person, not just a kid, but for any person. This is something I really don't understand, because the child is missing.
Oh, that's right. Who would take signs down? I mean, why would you? Even if you didn't know much about it, I suppose if it was on your property and you didn't want it there anymore, but why would you go off somewhere else and take it down?
Need to find him. Why would anybody want to remove signs to put his face in front of people? That I will never understand. And again, this is across the I have never in my life heard people removing missing person signs or flyers before. I've just never experienced a situation like that personally.
Well, the only thing I can equate that to, because I live in a small community here in Oklahoma. Every time I walk in Walmart, walk out of Walmart, you see the signs that are there in Walmart, the missing children signs.
Well,
and I look at those.
Not to interrupt you, tell me.
Go ahead, buddy.
I know that I've been to places to put flyers up that I've been to before, and they have been people in there. Like, can I talk to your manager? Not to sound like a Karen, but I asked upper management before I put signs in the building to make sure that I have the okay. And I've had them sit there and be like, we just took his picture down. We took the last poster down, a week ago. And it's like, well, why? And they were like, somebody came in and said that he was found. And it's like, I'm his dad. He hasn't been found. If he had been found, I sure wouldn't be out here posting pictures, and it's just, it's horrible what the links of some of these people who have no humanity left about them. This is a missing child. Whether it's my child or somebody else's child, to sit there and walk in and be like, oh, they found him, you should take the sign down. Yeah, you didn't go in and take it down, but you went in and gave false information to somebody and they took the sign down. Because
I've got to admit, so if I had a sign up and somebody came in and said to me he's been found and it was just someone off the street, I would check before I took it down, because that's just like social media, isn't it? People come on my channel all the time or send me messages and say, oh, this happened, or such and such said that happened. Well, you can't just think, oh, well, just because such and such said that, it must be true. You've got to do your own research. And so, like, if that was me, I'd be straight on the internet finding out if he had been found, or straight on to either Seth or to the police or whatever. I wouldn't just take some random stranger's word for it that he'd been found.
Of course, if they found him, why would we need signs up? But he hasn't been found, and they're spreading false information. And the fact is that it goes on in the real world just like it does in social media. And
exactly. That's what I've just
lack of human.
Seth, I could tell when I saw Betty's face that's the first time she had heard that too. When you get to thinking about why.
The thing is, social media is only an extension of the real world. All the people that are on social media, they're in the real world. They are from the real world. But luckily, in the real world, you probably won't get to meet most of them because they're all over the world. You know, social media, you're getting a snapshot of all the whole of humanity, the good things and the bad things. And, you know, but it's right, exactly. Social media is a microcosm of society, you know, magnified a million times probably because you can reach so many more people. But there are people in society like that. There will be people who go in there deliberately and say he's been found, even knowing that he hasn't.
A good person would take down a sign. That's really the only explanation, is that they're being told that the child is found. And I got to tell you, that's a new one to me, and that's really odd. Thoughts on that, Betty?
Well, I'd like to know, you know, who would do that? It seems like somebody that has a dog in the fight. I mean, why would anybody do that? Just preemptively go up to see a sign and say, hey, you know, he's been found and we're going to take it down. I mean, it just, who would do that? Like, I don't understand why anybody would not want a missing person flyer up for somebody that's missing.
Well, and I know on your show, you talked a little bit, just to shift gears a little bit, you talked about some of the areas of interest. Don't want you to share anything you haven't already shared, but I know after kind of wrapping your brain around the area, making a few drives here and there, that you've got some areas that you really think are kind of hot spots. Can you discuss that?
I'll discuss them vaguely, but obviously the three communities are Hendersonville, Gallatin, which is basically Sumner County, but there's very specific areas there. There are a couple of things over in White House that I'd like to look at, but, you know, I think we have some gaps that we just need to resolve. And I think that looking at this with a different approach may come up with something.
Right.
You know, right now we know that the area around Ground Zero, which is Sebastian's home, his primary home with Katie and Chris, has been thoroughly searched. At least the 5-mile radius has been searched, researched, oversearched. So that's not the place that I think we would be looking at. We're also having people, you know, reaching out to autistic centers. We're getting flyers into Alaska because people were concerned about Alaska. Although that's not going to be an area that I can search, it's still something that we can infuse with some information to see if there's any type of leads out of that area. So as far as search areas,
Yeah, this is the problem, isn't it? The police have searched again. Seth's been out searching. Lots of people have been out searching. And nothing's been found. So what do? Go back to I personally think it should go back to the beginning and search again, because as we've talked about on another video, bodies don't just, you know, come out and say, oh, here I am. It's hard to find bodies, and you can literally walk past them quite a few times before they actually get found. But bodies, you know, well, I don't mean to be, you know, feel like I'm being negative there, but it seems likely to me, again, sorry, but they're looking for a body. Unless Sebastian's been hidden somewhere, they're looking for a body. Bodies don't just walk out and say, here I am, and they can be really, really difficult to find, even when they've not been hidden deliberately. So never mind if they had been hidden deliberately. Very difficult.
I think it needs to be the three places. I mean, he was in Hendersonville, so, you know, that should be a given. There's family in Gallatin, that should be a given. And of course, you know, there is a route. So, you know, that has to be looked at.
Right.
And more often than not, bodies are found very close to where they were last seen. You know, people are not look at Caleb Harris. If that is him, which it looks likely it is him who's been found, he's literally just at the back of the apartments where he lived. You know, people don't normally take bodies a long way.
Well, you made an interesting comment.
Because it's so dangerous, isn't it? Once you've got a body in your car, to take it a long way is very dangerous. Look at Stephen Stearns with Madeline Soto. You know, you've got to, the first thing you need to do is get rid of the body.
Comment the other day to me when we were talking about this protocol for missing persons, missing children. Can you explain that?
Yes. So it's the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children. They are basically the house that, you know, they have built into most of the statutes around the country, them being the clearinghouse for missing persons. So how it works is law enforcement has to meet the Amber Alert. So law enforcement has to meet some certain criteria, but the nonprofit that deals with it is the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children. And so they put all your Amber Alerts up there and they monitor those. Well, they also do a lot more than just that. They train law enforcement. They give clear directives on how, what the proper protocol should be. It's obviously not something that is written in stone or something that is, they have to do by statute. Some people have adopted it by statute. Some states have.
Right, I'm just going to fast forward a bit because I've got to go soon, but and Seth does give some updates, so I'm going to go just fast forward, see if I can find them.
Not here. So we're learning. Well, I think the only thing right now that's anything else for me is just getting everybody refocused on.
We're going to have.
Sorry, don't forget you can go on Seth's channel and watch this whole thing, but I just want to fast forward it to where he gives the updates.
People out here throwing shade at me, well, I don't like the way he sounds now. I don't like this. I don't like that. Well, I don't like you. But if you get your ass up from behind the fucking computer, it's people out here on the internet that are sitting there holding their shows, doing their clickbait, which I know they're probably going to have this right after we end this live. They're going to be all over it. They're going to be throwing as much shade as they can at me. That's fine. It's hot outside. It doesn't bother me. I mean,
it shouldn't be that way. Is my point.
My son shouldn't be missing.
That's true.
There's a lot of things in this world that are wrong. That are just wrong. Human trafficking is wrong. Doing things to children are wrong. People being just mean and hateful is wrong. Nobody will understand where I'm coming from. When I sit there and I am upset with his mother and that whole family, it's because I don't see them doing anything. When I sat there and I told people to kick rocks, only I used a particular other phrase that there were memes about. I told people to F off. Mm-hmm. Because I will work with whoever I can to try to bring and find my son and bring him home. Because he's all that matters to me. And we're going to have people out here throwing shade at me. Well, I don't like the way he sounds now. I don't like this. I don't like that. Well, I don't like you. But if you get your ass up from behind the fucking computer, it's put out some flyers, man. That's the bare minimum. While you're sitting there throwing,
maybe what we could do.
House. Understand that I'm not throwing rocks because I'm out there. I put out flyers. I'm literally going to go pick up more and hand out more flyers. I'm running out of supplies, not because I don't have it. It's because I have to reorder it. It means I'm going through my supplies.
Right.
All right.
And you handed me flyers and other stuff. I still have the bands. I'm going to be sending out with the flyers. I haven't had a chance to do it since I've been back, which kind of sucks. But I will be getting it out when I return here in 2 days. I'll be leaving tomorrow, and then I'll be returning here by Wednesday.
I mean, my sister sent me pictures yesterday, and Friday. Well, that was yesterday. Right? Yeah, Friday. She sent me pictures of she had to make 2 trips to the post office because she had taken a whole bunch of envelopes with bracelets, flyers, and everything. She came up here and I gave her some, and and she's sending them out to people. And then she turned around and she sent me another picture. She was like, I went to the post office, came back, and she had 50 more people that reached out to her for flyers. So she turned around, packed more flyers into envelopes along with bracelets, and sent them out. People are doing what they can, but just sitting behind your computer, not doing anything. Come on, can't you be better than that? I mean, every day I wake up and I just want to be better for my son.
Right, so he's having a whinge now. I might have missed the bit where he gave the update. So basically, just in case I have, the update he gave was that there's more searches going out on the 11th of July, and that now the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation have been talking to him a little bit and giving him some updates and things. So that's a good sign. That's a good sign. But, I don't like to hear him whinge and everything. Just don't, because it's not useful. And yes, Chumba, I did speed it up. I told you all that at the beginning. Pay attention, catch up. I said exactly that at the beginning because Seth speaks he speaks so slowly, it would just take us ages to get through it. And unfortunately, I haven't got ages, so yeah, I did say all that at the beginning. But anyway, I think you can hear him okay. Let's see what he's got to say now.
Well, Seth, and I think the context too, it really taken out of context. That aggressive statement you made was simply you in your way trying to say that you were willing to do anything it took to help find your son. And if people didn't understand that, they could take a hike. I mean, it was a bigger context than just the 2 words, correct?
It was. There was the person that shared that made it the first thing that they shared.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was actually at the very end, after dealing with everything that I had dealt with, you know, the vigil, emotions were high, you know, Chris showing up twice in one day at the school. And it's like, dude, you couldn't even say this the first time you showed up. Why do you got to show up the second time and not actually stay for the vigil? That kind of hurt. Like, you want to talk about he's your stepson, but yet you don't want to show up for the vigil. And then you want to sit there and tell me vigils are for, you know, for remembering the dead. No, that's a memorial, dumbass.
And then not only that, but there's all types of vigils, and it was a prayer vigil. It's prayer
Well,
for
we were
safe
more
return.
together and ask for God to enlighten us and to bring with.
Oh, Mello, I hope your mum's okay.
Is done in the dark to the light, and we were all there in one purpose. We were all there to ask God to bring Sebastian home, to show us where he is, to make sure that he's safe, to make sure that he's being protected by his angels. I am not there to protect him. I am asking God to protect him.
And that's what we should do. And everybody that's in the chat, why don't we put some prayer hands, some green hearts up? And
I think
Tony turned his picture off there because somebody was walking around in the background. Did you see them in the kitchen? He's probably giving them a bit of a rollicking and saying, do you mind? I'm on live.
everybody in chat, I thank you for coming in this live stream. My apologies that I don't have more information. And there will be a day that I start this, and I'm going to have my son standing right next to me and be like, it's paid off because he's home.
Yeah.
And keep him out.
I think it's smart.
Place.
Yeah, and I think.
Well, I hope his prayers are answered. I hope Sebastian does come home sooner or later. But, you know, just doesn't look good, does it? But we'll see. So apparently more searches planned for the 11th of July. So we'll look out for them. As I say, go onto Seth's channel and watch the whole thing. I've had to sort of, you know, make him talk quicker and cut off little bits and pieces of it because I only had so much time. Hi, Matthew. So I've nearly finished now. So yeah, if you want to see the full thing, go on to obviously Seth's YouTube and watch the whole thing. But I do think it was interesting. It's much better idea what he's doing, isn't it? Much better idea what he's doing. It felt level, it felt measured. You know, people want to listen to it. And, you know, it keeps Sebastian's name out there, and that's it. If he doesn't like other YouTubers or other social media talking, you know, twisting things as he thinks or whatever, then exactly he should, you know, just do his own thing. And then maybe he could have, you know, there's so much more he can do on his own channel if he gets it sorted. I do wish, you know, him and Katie and Chris could somehow, you know, unite together, but I just don't think that's going to happen. And Tony was a bad influence on that, to be fair. In my personal opinion, I don't think anyone's done anything to Sebastian. I think Sebastian's you know, he may have run away and foul play or accident has befallen him. But, you know, we'll find out sooner or later, I suppose. Another one of those mystery cases. So I'm going to crunch my bottle. Another one of those mystery cases that we're following, and who knows what the final outcome will be. Because quite often in these cases, the outcome is something you never would have imagined in a million years. You know, so it could be something that nobody's considered. Anything could have happened. Sebastian could have come out that door, got in a car with someone. He could have arranged to meet someone. You know, we just don't know, do we? So, okay, that's it. I'll be back soon, as always, in the next video. Thank you for watching, as always. And until I see you again, may your God go with you. Good luck, Mello, with your mum. Bye. Oh, I've got to find the video now. So prayers for Sebastian. I can't find the video that I normally put on. There it is. Adios, amigos.